Corrosion of Conformity, Deathspell Omega, and Caven. So C.O.C. formed in 1982 in Raleigh, North Carolina, and they started off as a very punk-influenced metal band, or I hate the term, but a crossover thrash band. And their first album was called Eye for an Eye, and I got the second full-length album, Animosity. I hear a lot of people say this is their best album, or at least the best of the old stuff. This one's short. I put it in the other day. It's like, I don't think it's even 25 minutes. Came out on Metal Blade in 1984, 1985. Mike Dean, the bassist, who does not perform vocals in the modern day, except for a short period of time where he picked up the vocals again. But this is a classic album, very angry. Yeah, Lost for Words, the first one's like 4 or 5 minutes long, but the rest are pretty short. Mike, the bassist and vocalist, he will lead the band for a short period of time. And they put out this one, Blind. Pepper Keenan joined the band on guitar, and Carl Agnell joined on vocals. That would be his only album where he did vocals with C.O.C. And this album moved on from the crossover style to more straightforward metal, or some of those southern rock influences are starting to creep in a bit. And a lot of people think this is a classic album, but I don't put this one on much. I actually don't have a whole lot to say about it. The one after that, Deliverance, that was probably one of my first metal CDs. I got that back when it came out in 94, 95. And I think that's the best thing I heard from them. It's pretty accessible, very southern rock. A couple catchy songs on there. But I don't know why I don't have that anymore. I must have traded it or sold it. But that's their best thing. And the one after that, Wise Blood, was more of the same, but it was just a little bit more commercial, a little less standout. And since then, some lineup changes. Pepper left the band for a bit, came back. Reed Mullen, the drummer, he passed away, unfortunately. They have a new drummer now. But everything since Wise Blood, I'm unfamiliar with. So, definitely a big change in style now. We'll talk about Deathspell Omega, a French black metal band formed in 1998. I became aware of them in the early 2000s. C.O.C, they put out an EP that came out on Southern Lord, and I think that's when they increased their profile quite a bit. That album, Paracletus, I feel like that was another bump up in popularity, and a lot of people still talk about that as being one of their best albums. I only have a couple, at least on physical form. One is this one. This is the Synarchy of Molten Bones. This came out several years ago, and I think it's one of the less memorable Deathspell albums. There's 4 songs on here. Like all their, well, at least the recent stuff. What's this label called again? It's Norma Evangelium Diaboli. Sorry, it was hard to read. This is their most recent album, The Long Defeat. This is a pretty cool package here. I like this booklet. It's got this weird story that goes through it. This album here I thought was amazing. It's definitely their most accessible release. But what's this? 5 songs on here. Again, definitely more of a commercial touch. I mean, I was hearing speculation that despite being such a mysterious band, that maybe they're going to increase their profile. I mean, as I mentioned before, it's a more accessible album, giving a little bit more interviews. Their controversial frontman, who was the only person who had a public profile, he's not in the band anymore. So people are wondering, are these guys actually going to tour? What's going on? And that hasn't seemed to materialize, but we'll see what's coming next. And just while we're at it, I do have one Clandestine Blaze album, and that was their old vocalist's black metal band. He was from Finland. Now, Caven, they were, I guess they started off as what you would call a metalcore band, post-hardcore band, with metal influences from Massachusetts, and that was in 1990, actually I forget what year they formed, But Until Your Heart Stops, that is considered a classic metalcore album. Definitely much more ambitious than That Would Make You Believe. There's a recent re-release of that. I never got that on CD, so I think I should get the more recent one. But I came aboard when Jupiter came out. This is their second full-length album. Sorry, my digipack, it suffered a casualty. One of the panels ripped off. But this is 8 songs, a lot of new influences, not that heavy, spacey. Just before people were talking this way, but some post-rock influences. Came out on Hydra Head. Well, this was probably in... It's probably in like 2000. And I saw a review of Metal Maniacs that made me buy it. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have been interested in this kind of thing. And not to take the popular opinion, but this is the one album that I still listen to regularly. The best song's the third one, Big Riff. After that, Cave In was signed to a major label. That was RCA BMG. And they put out Antenna. It does sound like Cave In, but the songs are more straightforward than Jupiter, while still not being as heavy as the very early stuff. And I think this one's kind of forgettable. I enjoyed it at the time, but it's not something I listen to anymore. They would return to Hydra Head and put out Perfect Pitch Black. I like this one when it came out. But again, this isn't really so much the style of music that I listen to anymore. They put out 2 more full lengths after that, broke up, and then they have returned more recently and put out an album called Heavy Pendulum. Caleb, the old bass player, passed away, so they had Nate from Converge who has joined the band, and they put out a recent release, Heavy Pendulum. I heard it, it was good, but not to keep saying this, but this is just not the style I'm into it as much anymore. I also had the Planets of Old vinyl, but I sold that. That was kind of cool. And I'm just going to take out a couple solo projects by some of the members of Cave In. I have a legendary demo by Clouds. This is Adam McGrath's, the guitar player's, kind of a stoner rock band. I also had a LP, a vinyl full length called We Are Above You. I sold that one a while ago. This is Zazorba, who was the band of Caleb from Old Man Gloom and Cave In, as well as Santos, who was also in Old Man Gloom besides Zazobra. I think of them as kind of like a Cave In meets Torch sound. Is that fair? But that's what I think of when I first think of it. And the singer, this is Stephen Brodsky's Octave Museum, a solo album. I have a couple of them actually, and despite not being a huge fan of them, I think I have one more somewhere. So yeah, Cave In, I kept saying I don't listen to them much anymore, but they're still a band that I respect, and their members have done many cool things over the years. And that's about it for today. Thanks for watching.